water from the drinking fountain?
Yeah. Oh, from the drinking fountain?
Yeah, because I want to get some from the drinking fountain. I'm gonna just test.
After prom, after prom, after prom. Each station had about 4 breakfast burritos. I walked by a few minutes ago, so better get there before they're gone. We have sold out every Friday since they started it. So support your after prom, please. Support your after prom. There's like about 4 burritos left at each station. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks. Basically, kind of just getting ready for y'all's next lab at the same time. I was going to do a water test.
Water test.
Yeah. We're going to basically just calculate pH by drinking
I feel like
water.
I've done that before.
Yeah, so we're testing out the pH of y'all's drinking water.
Sure, you need to just want to give me a piece. You're the one
Is that gonna be next time?
some cheese on it. Cheese, meat, and eggs. You want that cheese? Please. Yes, you are. We just did some of mostly bread. Me? Yeah, that's what he said.
Oh, yeah.
That's not too bad.
You have a second period?
I do. That's y'all's arch nemesis, the rivals. It's kind of between you and second period. It's class versus second
Are
period.
they as big as this one?
Yeah. You guys have almost the exact same amount of people. Like y'all took the top 2 classes last semester.
I might have a sub in my class because we new class was crazy.
You have a sub?
Yeah, for student council.
Oh, yeah.
What teacher are you talking about?
Boys and blood. There's like 2 things about benefit of school and their board.
I remember like, say, 4th grade.
After prom, after prom, after prom. Okay, the station up front has 1 left. The station up front has 1 left. Station in the back of school only has 2 left. Better get there before they're all sold out. They sell out every week. Support your after prom. Thank you.
Take anyone that already had a high grade out of low grade, and they want to add low grade out of high grade. Oh, that's really shit. Yeah.
Today or?
You guys can do that.
Like that really gonna count difference. I mean, I'm glad from this because that, oh, actually, work for you, yeah, like I would go tennis right now. School year or something. It's like when we're riding, I don't feel like today. It's cold weather and I don't want to run pictures. Like an hour. Now for me, it's actually like either
And,
because like I have to walk all the way down south. Like I done that before, like I ran from Silo over to I just ran
yeah.
So I was like, oh, Ravens go to the street. Keep going down and there's like this park.
There's 3 girls.
Right. There's a park like
Just your walking on the project, you want to work with your yeah, I got everything now. I'm tired.
Alright, so you guys should all have a worksheet on y'all's desk. Let me go ahead and just talk about what you guys do today. Okay, so today we have to work real hard to go through all our concepts real fast because you guys have a lab today. This lab, it's very important that you guys do your best with this lab because this lab, remember what I told you guys last semester? With the second semester, we start doing more dangerous labs, and this is probably going to be pretty much the most dangerous lab you guys have done so far. So I want you guys to be real safe with this. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be rehearsing and practicing with this lab until you guys get it right, and then I'm going to give you guys the actual chemical. So be sure you guys are ready for that. I'll talk more about that after we knock this out. We're going to go real fast, so you guys just go ahead and keep up with me. Okay, y'all's worksheet. You guys don't have a quiz today because we're kind of short on time. So let's go ahead and knock out this worksheet front and back. I need you guys to master these concepts. These are tax, test, concepts. Alright, Alright, so just a couple quick announcements. Alright, so you guys have a test next week in my class. Everything that I go over today is going to be on that test next Thursday for y'all, or it's going to be Friday for you guys. Okay, y'all's video projects. And keep in mind, this video project, the due date is March 6th, March 7th. That means you have the end of this week, you have this weekend, you have all of
Okay, just a reminder that tomorrow we have playoffs, boys varsity basketball at the American Airlines Center in Dallas. Game starts at 5 o'clock. I believe they have 4 games that day, but our game starts at 5 o'clock. Tickets are 10, 15, and 25. If you're feeling like you want to give Mark Cuban a whole bunch of money, they will let you sit on the floor for $100. But the tickets are 10, 15, and $25. The game starts tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Ticket sales will stop today. Ticket sales will stop today at 1:30. After that, you'll have to buy your tickets at the door at American Airlines Center in Dallas. Tomorrow's game is at 5 o'clock. Everybody be there.
Alright, so just talking about y'all's video projects. Now, with these video projects, I want you guys to be sure that you guys get this done because this is going to be due not next week, but the following week. And we have to have these video projects already filmed, edited, ready to watch before spring break. Because I want to watch some of these videos before spring break. Now, if you guys need a place to film, or if you guys need a camera, just swing by my classroom after school, and I got a camera that you guys can use, and you guys can basically teach or talk about the concept on the board. Remember, you guys can make this fun, you guys can make this entertaining, but don't procrastinate. It doesn't have to be perfect. Don't procrastinate. Just get it done. You can be stupid, you can be goofy, as long as you're pretty much explaining the concept properly. That's it. So I'm looking for good videos, but just don't procrastinate. Just get it done and turn it in. Okay, now, with y'all's test, what we're doing today with the essays. We're talking test here in a little bit. Essay 23, with chemical reactions, we're actually going to knock that out together after we get done with this concept. So if you guys didn't do it, that's fine. We're going to work on this together because I want to talk about chemical reactions. On the tax test, keep in mind, the 5 different chemical reactions, you guys have to know them pretty much inside and out. That means that you have to know how to identify them. You have to know how to pretty much give a general equation example or pick the right example. And you guys should also know some examples of chemical reactions, such as decomposition would be a plant basically dying and decomposing. Synthesis would be anything from photosynthesis, etc. So you guys have to know an example of some of these 5 different chemical reactions. You guys also need to know how to actually identify them and identify a general equation for them. Okay, now everything on this test, we're going to do the front and the back on this, or everything on this worksheet, we're going to do the front and the back on this. Everything that we do today is going to be on the test on Friday for you guys next week. Also, this is all tax material. Now, for the test, next Friday, this is the deal for you guys. You guys can use y'all's notebooks because this polyatomic ion list, the tax test, you guys don't have to have this memorized. Remember, that's the good news about the tax test. You don't have to memorize this. They're going to give you a list of polyatomic ions. All you have to know is be familiar with them, know how to balance them, know how to put them into chemical reactions, and know how to basically identify the name and write out the name. That's what you guys have to know about this. So first of all, if you guys haven't written this down in y'all's notebooks, now's a good time to go ahead and copy this in y'all's notebooks because you guys have to use y'all's notebooks for this next test. I just want to memorize this entire polyatomic ion list. I want you guys to go ahead and y'all's notebooks, and we're going to go ahead and knock out the side that starts with NaOH. We're going to go ahead and start with the side that says NaOH. Okay, now first off, with y'all's periodic tables that I gave you guys, I want you guys to pull those out. The ones that I gave you guys, make sure you guys bring this to class with you guys. You guys are using these from now on, so go ahead and plot y'all's periodic tables. We're going to bring the periodic tables. Make sure you guys bring this with y'all. Keep this with you guys. Okay, I'm going to use this one to keep, for sure.
Do you know yellow pen?
Okay, anyone else that doesn't have a periodic table? Yeah. So make sure you guys keep this. It's for y'all to keep. So be sure you guys are keeping this safe because it's for y'all to keep.
I need one.
I'll get mine. Okay, everyone's good. Everyone's got the periodic tables because you guys need this. Remember, you're keeping these. Keep this for your own regular class. All right. So first off, you guys take a look at NaOH. There's 2 things you guys are doing. First thing you want to do is remember the trick to reading element with a polyatomic ion together is you just want to read from left to right. Remember, some of these compounds are going to get real long. All you have to do is just read from left to right like you would a book or a sentence, and just identify the first element. After you identify that first element, you just separate it by drawing a line behind it. So first off, going from left to right, what's the first element I read? Sodium, very good. So go ahead and draw a line behind the Na. Now I step back and I can pretty much identify that this is going to be a polyatomic ion. So first off, what's the name for this element? Na is going to be sodium. What's the name for OH? Hydroxide. That's all it is. That's the answer. Sodium hydroxide. The way I found that answer is taking a look at my polyatomic list that you guys should have written in y'all's notes. I'm going to ask you guys this in the test next Friday, so we should have this written. So it's just sodium hydroxide. That's it. Sodium hydroxide. Okay, the next thing you want to do is, just keep in mind, you want to basically make sure that these charges are balanced out before you put them together, but we already know that Na has a +1, OH has a -1, so we're good. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, the next one is NaC2H3O2. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is, going from left to right, what's the first element you read? Remember, your compounds are going to start getting bigger and bigger. What's the first element you read going from left to right? Sodium, very good. So go ahead and draw a line behind sodium. Now, next thing you want to do is, what charge does sodium have? Has a +1 charge. So you can go ahead and write +1 at the top of that, because we want to make sure these are balanced. Okay, next, what's the name of this element, C2H3O2, or this polyatomic ion?
Acetate.
Acetate, very good. What charge does acetate have? This negative symbol means it has a -1 charge. Put a -1 charge here. They both match up. +1, -1, it's good. You don't have to do anything with it. So go ahead and just go ahead. You just go ahead and just write the name. It's going to be sodium acetate. So we know it doesn't have to involve any type of balancing out. Most of these are already balanced. Okay, next. Okay, next thing you want to do is you have VaSO4. So you have VaSO4. Going across, what's the first element you read? Barium, very good. Go ahead and separate that. Okay, what charge does barium have? It's got a +2 charge. What charge does SO4 have? Has a -2 charge. So it balances out perfectly. So the name is going to be barium. What's the name for SO4? Sulfate. Barium sulfate. Okay, I want you guys to skip the one that says K2. I want you guys to skip the one that says K2. Okay, now keep this in mind. I just want to show you guys something real fast. Okay, if I have NH4, you guys take a look at this. NH4, if I ask you guys, what's the charge for NH4? It has a plus sign. This plus sign, I'll ask the front, pay attention. This plus sign means that NH4 is worth +1. So let me just give you guys different examples. Okay, if I have a plus sign by itself, that just means +1. If I have a +1, it's the same thing as just having a plus symbol. +1 is also the same thing as 1 plus. It's just written differently. Does that make sense? So that means that 1 plus, +1, and it's a plus sign by itself. All this means is a +1 charge. Same thing if I had +2 or 2 plus. They both mean the same thing. They're just written differently. Make sense? Same thing with a minus sign. If I have a minus sign by itself, that means it's a -1. I can write it like this with a minus sign. I can write it with a -1, or I can write it with a 1 negative. These are all the same charges. They're just written a little bit differently. Does it make sense? Okay. So I just wanted to just kind of outline that so you guys don't really kind of jump out about that. So remember, all this is telling us is just the charge. You don't have to write down the charges. All you're doing, when you actually write out the actual chemical formula or the actual name, you don't have to put the charges. The charges are here just to tell you what charge the polyatomic ion has. Because if you look on your periodic tables, you can't find out what charge OH has. You can find out what charge Na has by looking at what group it's in. You can find out what charge O has by itself by looking at the group. But OH together, you can't figure out what charge it is, which is why they give it to you. All right, so next. Okay, next we have AlPO4. So going from left to right, AlPO4. What's the first element you read? Aluminum. So go ahead and split that. So we have aluminum. What's the name of PO4?
Phosphate.
Phosphate. So it's aluminum phosphate. And charges, do they balance out? What charge does aluminum have?
Yeah, they balance out.
Has a +2 charge. Because aluminum's in group 13, therefore it has a +3 charge. PO4 has a -3 charge. It balances out perfectly. I want you guys to skip K2, because we haven't gone over that yet, so go ahead and skip K2. Okay, next one says Na2SO4. Na2SO4. So you have Na2SO4. Going from left to right, what's the first element you read?
Sodium.
Sodium. Draw a line behind it. Okay, now, remember, you don't use prefixes at all whenever you're dealing with polyatomic ions in an element. Already, let's take a look. I went all the way to the front, so I'm going to do something a little bit different. Okay, just take a look right here, all the way to the front. If this wasn't a polyatomic ion, if I took away the oxygen, and I just had Na2S, this is a metal and a non-metal. Remember, whenever you put a metal and a non-metal, you don't use prefixes. All you do is change the ending to IDE. Now, same thing over here. If this is a polyatomic ion and this is a metal, same thing. All I do is just write down the names for what they are, but I don't have to change anything over here. It's actually even easier. So with polyatomic ions in a metal, whenever you name them, all you do is just write down their actual names. So Na is what? Sodium. What is SO4? Sulfate, that's it. So it's sodium, sulfate. No prefixes, nothing. What charge does Na2 have? Has a +2 charge. Na is in group 1. There's 2 of them, so it has a +2 charge. What charge does SO4 have? Has a -2. Cancels out perfectly. Okay, next you have NaClO3. What's the name of that one?
Sodium chloride.
Very good. Sodium chlorate. Sodium chlorate. So I want you guys to breeze through this. Everyone understand the concepts? Go ahead and knock this out. Also, does anyone have any questions over anything? Actually, let me work out this one over here. I want you guys to go down to the one that says NH4,2SO4. Let's go to that one. NH4,2SO4. Okay, now first up, reading from left to right, what's the first element or polyatomic ion you read? Remember, this is together now. Since this is together in a bracket, it's not sodium by itself anymore. So going from left to right, what's the first polyatomic ion you read? We don't have to. Ammonium.
Nitrogen.
Ammonium. Okay, so just to kind of reiterate this. Okay, anytime you guys see elements together in brackets, that means they're polyatomic ions. Now, if this bracket wasn't here, it'd be a little bit different. But since this bracket is encasing NH4, that means that we have a polyatomic ion. So going from left to right, we know that this is ammonium. And then SO4, what's the name for SO4? Sulfate. So just ammonium sulfate. That's it. Take a quick look at KNO3. Okay, with KNO3, what's the first element you read going from left to right? Potassium. So you go ahead and put line down to K. K, the word is potassium. What's the name for NO3?
Nitrate.
Nitrate. Very good. So all it is just potassium nitrate. AgNO3. What's the name for AgNO3?
Silver.
Silver nitrate. What's ZnCO3?
Zinc carbonate.
Zinc carbonate. Very good. So you guys can knock this out on your walls. So remember, ZnCO3 is zinc carbonate. All I'm doing is looking at the chemical symbol, writing down the name. Looking at the polyatomic symbols, writing down the name. That's all I'm doing. Okay, I want you guys to go ahead and turn to the back side. Now the back side is a little bit different. You guys are doing two things on the back side. And the back side is actually the fun part. Okay, first off, on the back side you have sodium nitrate. I'm going to write it on the board just like how you guys see it on y'all's worksheet. I'm going to show you guys exactly what you guys are going to be doing. Okay, now the first thing you want to do with sodium nitrate. Okay, first thing you want to do is you want to identify the charge. First off, let's go ahead and just split it. We have sodium, we have nitrate. Let's go ahead and split the two. We have our element, we have our polyatomic ion. First off, what's the charge for sodium?
1.
Plus 1. It's in group 1, plus 1. What charge does nitrate have?
We don't know. It could have been 2.
Minus 1 charge. So nitrate has a minus 1 charge. Okay, so these balance out perfectly. So all we have to do is just write out their chemical symbols. Because you guys are balancing these out first and then writing out the chemical formulas. So we have Na. Nitrate is NO3. That's it. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Next one we have potassium acetate. So we have potassium acetate. This is the next one on y'all's worksheet on the other side. Okay, first off, what's the charge for potassium? What charge does potassium have? Has a plus 1 charge as well, and it's in group 1. What charge does acetate have? Has a minus 1 charge. You guys can use either one. There's two different ways of writing it. Pick either one. Has a minus 1, bounces out perfectly, so it's going to be K. We'll use this first one, C2H3O2. So C2H3O2. That's it. Okay, take a look at the next one. We have aluminum sulfate. Aluminum sulfate. First off, go ahead and find aluminum on your periodic tables. What's the chemical symbol for aluminum? Okay, very good. So you have aluminum, just to give you guys a visual, we got aluminum sulfate. Okay, aluminum is Al. What's the chemical symbol for sulfate? SO4. And what charge does aluminum have? That's the first thing we want to do. Just go ahead and find the charge. +3. Has a +3 charge. That's a little bit different. Okay, aluminum has a +3 charge. Sulfate has a -2 charge. Now, these two don't match up. Remember, you want this to match up perfectly so they can cancel each other out. This is a +3 and -2. We need to make this what? What's the smallest number they both can divide into? The smallest number they both can divide into is 6. To make this 3 a 6, what are we going to multiply the aluminum by? We're going to multiply the aluminum by 2. So it's going to be 2 times 3 gives you a +6. To make the SO4 worth -6, what are we going to do? We have to multiply by 3. But be sure you put it in the brackets and you multiply it by 3. And so our final answer is Al2SO4 3. Okay, how many people does that make sense to? It makes sense once you all hands. Makes sense. Okay, good. Okay, next. Okay, first thing you want to do next is, let me go ahead and write it down. We got lithium chloride. Okay, first thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and draw a line separating lithium and chloride. Next thing you want to do, go ahead and find the charge for lithium. What charge does lithium have?